JBN will keep you informed. I'm Michelle Jones, and in the news, U.S. advisory urges citizens to avoid travel to most Jamaican parishes. The United States on Thursday issued an updated advisory for Jamaica, listing areas in 4 additional parishes prohibited for travel due to increased risk of violent crimes. The U.S. State Department says sections of St. Elizabeth, Manchester, St. Thomas, and Trelawney have been included on the Do Not Travel list for its citizens. Portland and St. Mary are the only parishes not included. Jamaica remains at level 3 on the travel advisory. The State Department noted that the Jamaica Constabulary Force does not respond effectively to serious criminal incidents, and when arrests are made, cases are infrequently prosecuted to a conclusive sentence. It also said families of U.S. citizens killed in crashes or homicides frequently wait a year or more for final death certificates to be issued by Jamaican authorities. Man killed during alleged confrontation with security forces in Trelawney. A Trelawney man was shot and killed at his home during an alleged confrontation with members of the security forces early Thursday morning. The deceased has been identified as 23-year-old Denboy Pritchard of Water Lane, Falmouth in the parish. Reports are that about 5:15 a.m., members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force led a police military team to Pritchard's house to serve him a warrant. It is alleged that Pritchard pointed a gun at members of the security forces who had entered the house. It was subsequently shot. It was taken to hospital, where it was pronounced dead. An illegal gun and several rounds of ammunition were reportedly seized during the operation. An illegal gun and several rounds of ammunition were reportedly seized during the operation. Bloody week in Hanover, contractor shot dead. In less than a week, 3 people have been shot and killed in Hopewell, Hanover, and the 3 others are nursing gunshot wounds. The latest shooting took place on Friday afternoon when an elderly contractor was shot and killed outside a construction site along Crabwood Lane Road, Hopewell. It is reported that the elderly man, who hails from Sandy Bay in the parish, was working on a construction site in the community when they were attacked by men armed with handguns. The gunmen opened fire, hitting the contractor multiple times. A female bystander was also shot and wounded during the shooting and was taken to hospital, where she was treated and admitted. The Sandy Bay police are investigating. Pillion rider dies in St. Thomas bike accident. A pillion rider died on Thursday during a mishap along the Golden Grove Main Road in St. Thomas. The deceased is 20-year-old Austin Williams of Cheswick in the parish. The incident occurred about 9:30 a.m. Williams was on a motorcycle along the Golden Grove Main Road when the driver swerved to avoid a truck traveling in the opposite direction. Williams was thrown from the motorcycle. Both driver and pillion rider received injuries and were taken to the Princess Margaret Hospital, where Williams was pronounced dead while the driver was treated and released. 7 people have died in road crashes in St. Thomas since the start of the year. Clarendon police warn residents to be vigilant as robberies increase. The Clarendon police are warning citizens to be cautious as incidents of robberies seem to be on the increase in the parish. This warning comes on the heels of at least 3 incidents of robbery with aggravation on Wednesday. In the latest incident, a delivery truck driver was robbed of valuables in Denby Crawl, Phase 2, Clarendon, sometime after 11 p.m. Reports are that the complainant was driving a white 2006 Isuzu forward motor truck transporting building materials to a property in Denby Crawl, Phase 2, when upon reaching the location and in the process of unloading the truck, 2 men armed with handguns approached the truck. The man who hired the complainant took him to the back of the house and tied him up using his shoelace and proceeded to rob him of a black Samsung A21 cell phone, valued about $30,000, and $26,000 in cash along with the vehicle. The robbers then left in the motor truck. The police said that in a separate incident, the culprits tied up 2 other people, but they managed to escape. Investigations are ongoing. Enough with the prank calls. The police are again making an impassioned plea to Jamaicans to desist from wasting the resources of the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF by sending them on wild goose chases with prank calls to the 119 emergency number or calling for non-emergency situations. If you have kids and grandkids and kids that you're guardians for, Please instruct them not to call 119 as a prank, especially when school is out, said Corporal Eaton Bradford of the Police Emergency Communications Center. Bradford, along with the dispatcher at the center, Shauna K. Malcolm, and call center manager Tanya Ricketts, were explaining the importance of the operations of this police branch to patrons in attendance at the JCF's inaugural Technology Expo at the National Arena on Thursday. Malcolm said that at times, when these child pranksters call, some of whom are verbally abusive, there will be adults in the background telling the children what to say to us. She said sometimes the pranksters call, and it will sound like a legitimate emergency, but when a police unit is dispatched, it is then realized that it was a prank call. Malcolm noted that police personnel are highly trained to differentiate between real emergencies and pranks, but there are times, depending on what the emergency is, we're going to have to dispatch our units to the location. It's experience, and based on the questions we ask, we have to interview them, and we have to try to do that within 2 minutes. We have to interview them thoroughly, and then we will determine whether it's actually an emergency. But sometimes we can't take it for granted, she said. Malcolm noted as well that people call the 119 emergency line for every single thing, even to call the police to fix a pipe, to take the cat out the tree. I remember one time we got a call from a female caller who was screaming hysterically, and when the police went there and gave us an update, it was a lizard in her house. She told the officer that she was afraid of the lizards, so she needed the police's assistance. Ricketts pointed out that prank calls and non-emergency calls stay up the lines and prevent or delay persons with real emergencies getting the help needed. She said when calls are made to 119, they are placed in a queue, so it is first call, first serve, pointing out that if there are several prank calls, but there is actually an emergency, the prank calls have to be cleared first in order to get to the legitimate call. She said this is why legitimate callers to the center may not get through immediately, because you have 10 more prank callers in front of you, and by the time we are through with them, you may hang up. Malcolm quipped that it's really weird that prank callers get through quicker than people with emergencies, noting that some of them even use 2 phones. So we hang up with one and get another call and it's the same person, she said, noting that these calls are made even easier for pranksters as a SIM card is not required in cell phones to make calls to the emergency number. Prank calls continue to frustrate the police, who reported last month that they sometimes receive more than 7,600 or 85% prank calls to the 119 emergency number on a day. In a Jamaica Information JIS release, head of the Emergency Communications Center, Senior Superintendent Gary McKenzie, said an estimated 5,000 to 9,000 calls are made to the 119 number each day, the vast majority of which are non-emergencies. He said while the police will use moral suasion to get people to stop making prank calls, they'll soon be armed with legislation to deal with the long-standing issue. There is legislation that is on the way to treat with all of this, and there is also the technological advancement that will be able to identify those who are doing this. But before we even get to that place, we want to urge citizens to avoid using the line without a reasonable cause, Francis said. Employee commended for standing firm as robbers attempt during heist. The management at Pavilion Jewelers is heaping praise on a member of staff who, despite her emotional state, did not comply with repeated instructions of armed thugs to open a vault during a robbery on Wednesday. Speaking on condition of anonymity, a senior manager said she was glad nobody was hurt. Speaking on condition of anonymity, a senior manager said she was glad nobody was hurt and that things could have been worse. The robbery occurred less than an hour after the location's 10 a.m. opening. According to the manager, the employee in question was probably in shock and the staff was still on edge. Oh yes, she saved the day. I don't know if she was frightened and acted in fright, the senior manager said. The robbers reportedly disarmed one of the guards at the jewelry store, and some customers at the location had their phones taken. The senior manager, who was not at the store at the time of the robbery, said she was told that the robbers were wearing guardsmen security uniforms and masks. We don't even have guardsmen at this location, she said, adding that the robbers were brazen. There is CCTV footage of the robbery and aftermath as more drama unfolded when the robbers made their escape. Their cronies were waiting outside and they left them. They were running on foot and looked like they should have gone to one of the cars. It looks like, and they hijacked the car, the manager said. The group of at least 5 robbers reportedly stole jewelry, cell phones, appliances, and video games. Management and the police said they were unable to place a value on the losses as an assessment was ongoing. Cop charged with breaking man's jaw may have to pay millions in restitution. A police constable accused of physically assaulting a man and breaking his jaw may be stuck paying millions in restitution. Malwan Morris, charged with assault occasioning actual bodily harm, allegedly punched the man in his face and breaking his jaw, the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court was told. The allegations are that on June 10, 2022, Morris was on duty at the Halfway Tree Transport Centre in St. Andrew when he stopped the complainant and his friend and requested a search. However, nothing illegal was found. A short while after, the complainant and his friend were reportedly seen talking to a group of schoolgirls. It is alleged that Morris came and brought his friend towards a small room that is always occupied by police officers, but out of concern for his friend, the complainant said he followed closely behind. It was said that Morris later exited the room with a metal baton, told the complainant to enter the room and questioned him. The concept then allegedly used the baton to hit him on the left foot, then punched the man several times in the face and the chin, breaking his jaw. The incident was reported to the Independent Commission of Investigations Indicom, and Morris was later arrested and charged. During the proceedings, Morris's defense attorney said his client is willing to pay restitution and, to be fair, would have to start at a figure of at least $500,000, but the man declined this offer and said he would like at least $2 million. The matter was stood down for about 2 hours, in which the attorney had a mature discussion with his client. When the matter was called again, the lawyer said they would be willing to pay the $2 million. However, the matter was nowhere near being mediated because shortly after, the complainant's mother told Senior Parish Judge Lauren Cole Montague that she would like more than the $2 million since her son's treatment is still not completed. She said she spoke with their lawyer, who was not in court on Tuesday, and he asked for them to hold off on the matter. The woman stated that she has to take him back to a specialist, and that would cost at least $14,000 US. She also disclosed that Morris broke 4 of his teeth. The matter was ultimately adjourned for July 27, when it is expected that the court will be furnished with invoices detailing the cost of treatment for the complainant. Chef granted $300,000 bail after almost chopping off man's thumb. A chef was granted bail by the St. James Parish Court on Wednesday after attacking and chopping another in downtown Montego Bay, nearly severing the victim's thumb. Asa Grant, 41, from Rosemount Meadows, appeared in court on the charge of unlawful wounding. It is alleged that on April 21, Grant attacked the complainant and chopped him on his head, hands and back, almost cutting off the complainant's thumb. The police were called, and under caution, Grant reportedly said, "Officer, it is a mistake. I'll pay for his medical bills. John Omi shouldn't come here." He was arrested and charged. During the court proceedings, the accused, who was wearing a sling to support his arm, told presiding judge Sasha Mary Smith Ashley that he was attacked while on his way home. "Me used to cut him ear, and I was standing at Burger King in downtown Montego Bay on my way home, and he just come and turn me around and start to chop me," the complainant explained. It was also disclosed that the complainant will need to do surgery on his injured thumb. In the meantime, an observation made by Grant's attorney, Charles Sinclair, was that Grant readily presented himself at the police station when he was summoned there following the incident. "When my client was asked to attend at the police station, he went there. I believe this is a matter that can be resolved elsewhere from court," said Sinclair. Judge Smith Ashley granted Grant bail in the amount of $300,000, provided that 2 individuals act as sureties. Additionally, the judge mandated that both Grant and the complainant participate in restorative justice sessions as a means of resolving their disputes. The case was subsequently set for mention on July 11. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.